Okay, now I know what happened.
And I just saw a message come up, Rinpoche, saying the webinar is now streaming live on Facebook.
Okay, so welcome everybody, TWR Facebook Live. I know now we are in live. Oh, this is... Okay, I need to do one thing. Okay, I think... oh, shit. Okay. Okay, so I think... I'm sorry. So yeah, my Facebook was on, so that's what the sound feedback was there. This is good. So welcome to TWR Facebook Live. So I'm very happy and excited here. Michael, Marcy, Gabriel joining with us here, and I will just say a few words in the beginning just to overview. So for many years, as a Ligmecha International and as a three-door program, and also just for myself, for many years, I've been feeling that the teaching and the Dharma should serve not only people who follow one tradition and people who only believe themselves as a meditator or like that, but every human being and every age and every tradition should benefit from these ancient wisdom traditions. So when I say ancient wisdom tradition, I am, referring to a few things. One is clearly I believe very much and I feel and see so much that the tradition of Dzogchen is the tradition which really, really needed and beneficial for this moment in our society. And also when we think about Dharma in general, we think about bird cannot fly unless the wisdom and compassion both are there. So, and clearly I believe in that. And so we approaches of this teaching has, out of that thought came out the three-door, which has now Gabriel and Marcy, the senior teacher there. And we have trained many people, or hundreds of people. And so clearly this teaching is teaching of compassion and wisdom. It's everybody. So particularly in this particular topic here is the Michael and Marcy, Gabriel, they have collaborated together in this beautiful project of Compassion Project. And so, and as a scientific research. So, and I know, I know a little about how outcome. And so I'm also personally looking forward to hear much more in depth and how the research was launched and how there is specifications and how many people and how the outcome, and also Michael mentioning this some specific things that the Compassion Project here it's a little bit unique in a sense that not a little bit more than average mindful practices people have been doing. So I'm very much looking forward. So just first. Just say a few words about each of the participants here. So Michael, so I have to, I will definitely, I know I will pronounce your name not correctly, so I will skip your last name. I will just say Michael. So Michael is a PhD, an assistant professor at the Chester University of Pennsylvania. Department of Psychology. So Michael and they all, Marcy and Gabriel, they're all being very close to each other, and then they've collaborated this beautiful work. And Michael also have done other researches also before. So welcome, Michael, and Marcy and Gabriel both. They are husband and wife. Most of our Sangha know, but if people don't know, and both of them has studied over all lifetime. Studying Buddhism, being practitioner, helping people, being privately as a group, teach, and also very important that both they are senior teachers in the Lingmicha International, and particularly in Three Door, and and of course the main people who initiated the Compassion Project here, and so masters in contemplative psychology, right, in the Naropa University. So welcome all of you here, and of course Marcy and Gabriel both are my closest student, dear, and so happy to have you both. And so I will maybe start with Michael. So maybe please you wanted to go ahead and maybe talk about the Compassion Project and say a little bit about the how everything is done and the outcome and so on. So I'll let you speak now.
Sure. Thanks. And let me know if you can't hear me. Okay, great. So yeah, the compassion, I'll speak to the research aspect of the Compassion Project, and I'll leave the discussion to the program itself, to Marcy and Gabriel. But with regards to the research aspect, what we were really interested in understanding was to what extent participation in the 9-month program really helped people in different facets of their life. So what we did is collected a bunch of self-report measures assessing different aspects of people's life and their functioning and their well-being. And we had participants complete them 2 months leading up to the start of the program. So every month they completed these questionnaire packets. 2 months prior to the program, they completed them. And then at every monthly meeting, they also completed these questionnaire packets. And the 9-month program concluded, and now we're in what's called a follow-up phase. So now every 3 months, we're getting participants to complete the questionnaires again, to really see, are they continuing to practice the meditations they learned through the Three Doors program? And if so, is it continuing to help them in any way? So that's the general outline of the research project, was collecting these self-report measures to see what people were reporting on and whether or not things changed in the ways that we would expect and hope to see. So the participants were 28 healthcare providers who were generally in the mental health care or medical fields, and were involved in psychotherapy or social work, or I think there was a surgeon, or physicians of various sorts. So positions in which people are desiring to help others, and also positions in which there's often a high degree of stress-related burnout. So jobs that are very taxing, that require a lot of people, and that can often lead to distress in general, burnout. So these were the participants in general, all with some background of meditation experience, some more extensive than others, some who were relatively new to meditation practice. And again, we were just interested to see if and how things changed with relationship to their life. So data is still coming in. We're still in the follow-up phase, and we're still collecting data, and I'm still organizing the data and analyzing it, and I won't bore you with what that involves. But we've done a preliminary analysis of some of the data just to see how do these things change month by month by month. And with some of the measures that we looked at, we can talk about mindfulness generally, but there are a number of self-reported mindfulness scales. And I used one of them that has been shown to associate with lots of favorable things like enhanced ability to regulate your emotions, enhanced ability to be present and available to your experience, an ability to be accepting and non-judgmental towards your experience. So this is one of the measures that participants completed month by month. And we found with this measure that on average, people's mindfulness scores increased by about 2 points every month. So from the time they started the program to the time they finished, the general trajectory was for an increased capacity for mindful states of mind. So that's may not sound like that much, 2 points, but that's I would say that's pretty interesting and substantial, given that this is over the course of a long period of time. So I was pretty pleased to see that, and curious to learn more about that. And again, so this is just a very preliminary analysis to see what's changing over time. And with further analyses, we can kind of dig deeper to look at other variables as well. Another thing I was curious to look at was a measure of work-related burnout. So as I mentioned, healthcare fields and mental health care and medical healthcare fields are often very stressful. And there's very often a high degree of anxiety and burnout in relation to some of these jobs. So I also found a month-by-month reduction in self-reported work-related burnout. So that was a significant reduction every month. And that reduction was a little under 1 point, so 0.7 points. We observed that reduction. So that's also good. We see that there's this general trajectory for a reduction in this work-related stress, work-related burnout. So that's great as well. The other thing we saw is I looked at perceived stress. So this idea that the extent to which you evaluate your life or your world or your experience as stressful or not being able to be controlled or difficult, the idea of perceived stress. And we looked at this on a month-by-month basis and found that participants' perceived stress on average reduced by about 0.5 point, which again may not sound like that much, but it was significant to see this over every single month, a 0.5 point reduction in perceived stress. And then there were a host of other variables that we looked at, which haven't been examined and I'm starting to examine now. One of them was I used just a brief screener for symptoms of depression. The participants weren't clinically depressed by any means, but depression symptoms are often things that we experience from time to time. So I just wanted to see if there was anything that changed with regards to that as well. And again, there was a significant month-by-month reduction in people's experience of some mild depression symptoms. So generally, the things that I've looked at so far are all changing in favorable directions, in directions that we would hope to see. And there's more questionnaires that I can and that I will look at to kind of tap other things. Things like relational satisfaction, also things like quality of sleep. So I'm curious to see, a lot of different things here. So we'll look at that. And we also collected information on how many days per month people were engaging in these meditation practices. So we're also curious to look at, is it the case that if you meditate every single day, that there are more strong changes? Is it that you need longer meditations? Maybe not so frequent, but maybe longer. So there's still lots of questions that we can ask looking at this, and we're really only at the beginning of scratching the surface to see how this is beneficial. But so far, it looks to be beneficial, so that's really encouraging.
So thank you, Michael. For sure we'll come back to you. Okay. So I think maybe Marcy, you wanted to start. So basically, maybe you can say a few words about your own experiences, how you feel these practices shift you and Gabriel and you, and how you plan this compassion project, and how you see the shift in the people, and maybe anything else you wanted to. Please go ahead.
Well, in my personal life, my path of being a therapist and working with other people, listening to them, my endeavor to be supportive to them has always been accompanied by my personal practice of meditation. So for me, the practice of meditation has been an incredible support to be present and to be able to care for another and take care of my own sense of disturbance in relation to the pain of another, and to really handle that in my practice so I can be more present. And I also, in my path as a counselor, taught mindfulness because the mindfulness program developed, and I was asked to teach in it, and I said, sure, because I'm a meditator, why not? So when we began to engage in your teachings, Rinpoche, and the methods that were coming through the Dzogchen tradition, is so deeply transformative and so actually very simple and direct. I became interested, as did Gabriel, in can we bring these teachings forward to specifically a population of people who are working with the pain of others, working with the stress of others. That's their interest, that's their occupation. Can they also find some of the benefits that we found? So it's Three Doors program already does present these teachings, but now we wanted to specify a group of people similar to ourselves who have that motivation. Because as I know, and as a lot of us know, that motivation to help someone else may not always be fresh, may not always be available when you're tired and you're stressed and you're not sleeping well, or you're not making enough money, whatever can come into your life as a stressor. So we live in an area, the Delaware Valley, that has many medical hospitals and teaching programs and many schools that train therapists, and we're very rich with those people in the therapeutic field, and we thought this is a great place to offer what we offer and to see if we can study. That was because I met Michael and I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if Michael were interested, if he would want to study our pursuit and see if we are making a change and we can contribute to this wonderful body of experimental evidence showing how efficacious mindfulness is. Can we also bring the tools and practices from the Dzogchen tradition and see what benefit they have? So that was our initial inspiration and how we began to put it together. Gabriel, do you want to add anything to that?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, like Marcy, I graduated from Naropa University with a master's in contemplative psychotherapy. And so that has always been the ground for the work that I've been doing with other people. Coming here to Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia, my first job was working in a hospice, attending to people who were living and also dying, mainly from cancer, but other life-threatening illnesses. And after a period of time, I left the hospice and started a nonprofit organization, specifically for people living with cancer. That was around the time that I met you, Rinpoche. I don't know if you remember, but I brought one of my flyers. At that time, I was just starting out small, and I showed you the flyer, and then you made some very helpful suggestions about how to improve the flyer. And so the ground of my work has always been wanting to be of help and care for other people. And then, as Marcy said, as we've continued to develop a network of people here locally, there is not only the medical establishments, but all these people that we know. So originally we decided this program would be for the benefit of healthcare professionals, hospital administrators, mindfulness teachers and practitioners, and also educators and therapists. Art therapists, social workers, music therapists, and we gathered together a group of 28 people and created this program so that people would have to buy in, so to speak, by not only applying and being accepted to the program, but having their workplace be aware that they were going to take one Monday off each month from work. So their place of work was sort of also a support to them. And we gathered together each of those Mondays. And then over the course of time, rather quickly, the group just really bonded together and became a great support to each other. So we practiced together, we shared together, we actually ate meals together. We created a community of healthcare providers. And this is the first I'm hearing some of Michael's research, so I'm happy to hear that things are moving in a very positive direction.
Okay, so maybe just, I know like probably people are wanted to hear about the research a little bit more about the brain and behavior, specific things, but maybe just briefly, Gabriel and Marcy, if you wanted to say a few words about three-door and how does the three-door, when you were teaching Michael, when Michael was participating also, this very specific aspect of the teaching itself that somehow, which compassion part is extension or expansion of that piece. How does in three-door practices, that part of three-door practice, and how this project being part of that expansion, maybe in terms of the more like a practice part, not how we are doing what we are doing, not that, but practice aspect.
You want me to? Okay. So we have this basic view that each being, each person is fundamentally, inherently open and pure, and their positive qualities are part of that openness. The compassion is a natural expression of the openness of a human being, of other beings, but particularly we're working with human beings. And to the extent that we're disconnected from this direct experience of the openness of our being, when we're disconnected, we suffer and we perpetuate suffering and we seek a refuge from that suffering externally. So in our practice, we're turning our attention inward to some very simple supports. We're becoming still in our body, and so we pay attention to that stillness. Our mind begins to settle, and as it settles, we can perceive directly this openness of being. Oh, this is fundamental to me. This feels like home. You begin to recognize, oh, this is where I feel like me, in this openness. And as we connect to it, we realize that in our openness, there's so much available right here in the moment. The moment is not the way it appeared to be. There's more possibility than I was aware of. And there's also a warmth, a natural warmth. So these three qualities of the openness and the awareness that activates the natural warmth of our being are become available and can become available in a very short time. It depends on the strength of your focus and the willingness to open. And so what challenges our willingness to open is we experience pain and distress. We don't like it. I don't want to feel it. So we look at that. We ask people to reflect on a difficult situation that they're encountering, or a difficult relationship, or even a difficulty within themselves, to actually bring it to mind, to be with it, to feel it and not run away from it, to feel supported to feel it in stillness, to feel supported to feel it as we, instead of going with our chatter, oh, what's happening, blah, 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 listen to the silence and let that support us. And to connect with that natural warmth that does become available when we release our judgment and be with what is. And so as we begin to discover what emerges when that sense of ourself, that limited sense, begins to soften and release and open, that is the natural expression of compassion. So the wisdom aspect is we recognize openness. We recognize, oh, I'm not that tired person. Oh, I'm not that one who I can't do this another day. There's so much more available in any given moment. That sense of definition opens up and the natural compassion comes forward. So we wanted to test that out. Is that true? Is that true for those of us who feel, are we willing to look at our pain? And we found that we have a very rich vocabulary of pain. In our profession, there's books that are very thick that describe all kinds of suffering. And we're familiar with that. How familiar are we with the openness of our being and what emerges, and can we trust that? So that's what we're exploring. And a lot of our path together was really exploring, asking these questions of ourselves, sitting with our experiencing, noticing what's happening, and sharing. So we learn from each other. We're sharing our experience of what happens when we do that. That's pretty much what I would have to say.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I think I'm going to go back to the Michael. So I think, so effect of meditation on brain and behavior. So I think, I don't know if you talk about the brain effect of any specific things that you are looking at the brain, or you want to say something about that. And also, when you talk about 0.7, 0.2, I don't get it, anything. What does exactly that mean? Any of those things. So what you're talking, what are you really talking,
Sure. Yeah, no, I can clarify a little bit more. And thank you, Marcy, for that description. It's exciting to hear that and inspiring. So with regards to I'll speak first to the measures and the change in the measures that we've seen, and then I'll talk a little about the neurobiology or some of the brain associations with meditation. So with regards to these measures that I'm speaking of that we used in the 9-month 3 Doors Compassion Project, they vary in terms of how high and how low you can score. For example, the mindfulness measures, it varies in terms of like a score of 39 all the way up to like 195. So generally people score somewhere in the middle. Advanced meditation practitioners would have a much higher score. I don't have the numbers in front of me for what the average scores were on a month-by-month basis, but it's often the case that if you participate in a mindfulness training program or any meditation program, you would see an increase in mindfulness scores. So for this program, we looked at the changes month by month. And when I say it increased by 2 points, what I mean is that on average, let's say the average score was like 115. The next month, it would be 117. The next month, it would be 119. And there's this gradual growing in terms of the score that someone gets on this measure. And that number would reflect the degree of mindfulness, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yes. And maybe, can you say a little bit about a specific, maybe Marcy or Gabriel, maybe you might want to, maybe Gabriel, you wanted to say a little bit about specific meditation they were doing, what they were doing.
Or express Marcy and I think Michael's gratitude for you and the way you've been teaching, creating these 3 doors, presenting these Dzogchen teachings in a way that allows us to actually experience our challenges and our pain rather than using any kind of method to sort of bypass that. So for those people who are not familiar with the 3 doors, the 3 doors are referring to the stillness of the body, the silence of speech, and the spaciousness of mind. The practice is to focus attention on each of those 3 doors, where each door has the potential to connect the practitioner to their essential nature, which you have called the inner refuge, this experience of spacious awareness and warmth of positive qualities. And that's the basic practice. Now, in addition, we have these support practices, the 9 breathings of purification that work with channels to help clear the poisons of aversion, attachment, and ignorance. We have the Salung movement awareness practices you've been teaching for so long that work not only with the channels, but with the subtle energetic centers in the body. Both focusing, sort of holding the breath in those places and using movements so that the nectar, the warmth of that nectar can help to sort of spread and clear any blockages in relation to those energy locations. And then we did the sound practice of the 5 warrior syllables. Again, using these energy locations and singing specific sacred syllables in order to open and to clear the possibility for each practitioner to contact this inner refuge completely in themselves, but also finding that open, spacious awareness and warmth in their channels and in their energy centers. So those were the practices that we did, and we intentionally sort of slowed things down because, as you know, we present these same practices in the academies, and we've had great results there as well. But in the Compassion Project, for the first month, we just worked on settling into the 3 doors. Then we worked for a month with the 9 breathings. And of course, in between, we had group sessions individually working with people. And so there was just a lot of time for people to sort of settle into the practice and soak into the practice, and then to begin to share their experiences or ask questions. So maybe for now, that kind of gives an overview of what we're intending. Although maybe I could just say one more thing. In the original program, in addition to the fact that everyone was a healthcare practitioner, there were parents and elderly persons, including myself in the elderly category. So in addition to their work, they're living everyday lives, and they're dealing with the other challenges and sometimes pain, right, incurred by growing older or raising a family. And so as we began to recognize that, that was one of the reasons why we wanted to develop this online program. And in doing so, not to open it up to people who are not simply healthcare workers, but to anyone. Because in our everyday lives, as Marcy was saying, we all experience difficulty, we all experience pain. And we're hoping that many people will take advantage and join us for the online program.
Wonderful. So that I think Anya is posting something there, but there is the 3-door online, live online compassion project, which is, I think Anya will post the link there. So I think there's still few spaces there. So highly recommended, people who are interested. So this is, it's not only the healthcare providers, but it's just everybody who is dealing with the life and challenges. It will be helpful. So now maybe I go back to Michael again. So when you said like it's a 9-month research project, and every month there's these different points, it kind of increases in a good direction. So does it mean, I mean, if it's 2 point or 1.7, if every month until 9 months, does it mean if it was I don't know, 25 months, would it mean to continuous increase, or some point it will just settle down or something like that? Of course, we don't know.
Sure. Yeah. So the short answer is I don't know, and that's part of the reason why we're doing the follow-up, to see, are people continuing to do the practices, and if so, are we continuing to see similar gains? One interesting caveat that I didn't share was that during one of the months there was the news of the election. So it's actually which not everyone was happy with the results of the election. So participants shared about this. They said, you know, this wasn't what they were hoping for. And that was actually reflected in some of these self-report measures, where maybe people reporting like, oh yeah, I have less stress this month. I have less stress this month. I have less stress this month. And then there was a month between two of these monthly measurements, there was the announcement of Donald Trump being our president. And at that point, there was a little bit of a shift in some of the questionnaires. So I actually think that the increases in month to month, they're all looking favorable, but there was a, I don't know if I should refer to it as a setback, but there was a little bit of a kind of a change in the direction temporarily, where people weren't reporting as favorable changes. So overall, it all averages out to look like everyone's getting improving month to month, and everyone is. But between some of these months, there was things that happened that maybe if they didn't happen, the results would be even stronger. As far as long term, we don't really know if they were to continue for 35 months, what we would see. But we'll continue to look at stuff like that.
Sure. So wonderful. I think I know like time is very short here, so we can maybe still have a little more longer conversation. But before, I don't want to miss maybe a little short experience that everybody who is watching on Facebook Live. So as always, Marcy does a beautiful job guiding meditation at our centers. And so I will ask Marcy to maybe, let's say 10-minute guided meditation, particularly focusing on, I mean, just kind of briefly what Gabriel was saying is that allowing ourselves to settle down, whatever the situation is, regardless of whatever the situation is, and finding some sense of more peace in the situation, in that deeper place, and then finding those quality of warmth of compassion and see how we can manifest that, or place of manifest that, maybe 10-minute guided meditation. Then if there's a little time, we can maybe just kind of wrap up that, okay?
Okay.
Marcy, you want to go ahead?
All right, sure. So wherever you are, find a position that feels like you can settle into it. If possible, you can have your spine upright so that your heart area, your chest can be open. Let your breath be natural. And to begin, maybe take 3 deep breaths, just to breathe in deeply, a fresh breath. Hold it for a second. And slowly release it. And as you settle into stillness, become aware of the stillness of your body. Let it support you to allow your mind to rest. Even as the world may seem to be moving around you, you can find that stillness and let it support you. Gradually becoming aware of the stillness of being as all the imprints of doing begin to release. And as you are resting, you might include a sense of others at this moment, present and supporting one another. We are all here resting, recognizing the sacred space within us. And even as you may be conscious of sounds in the environment around you, or even inner sounds of your own chatter, you could turn your focus towards hearing the silence that is always here. Let it support you. To be and to be aware of being. And drawing your attention to your heart. Just feel your focus at your heart and connect with the openness of your mind, the openness of being, like a clear, open sky. As you are supported by being aware of the openness, whatever is moving within you and around you is free. Just let it be as it is. And as you be and are aware of being, there's a natural goodness, a natural warmth to that. If you are aware of a struggle or a concern that you are carrying in your life right now, perhaps a health concern that you have, or a concern for a loved one, or perhaps some distress that you experience in others who are facing difficulties at this time. As you are supported, as we are all supported here now, to rest in the source within us, in this sense of being, allow yourself to become aware of that which is concerning you. Let it come. Feel how it lives in your body, breath, and your mind. And know, as you allow these feelings and sensations and images to come, that you are supported in the stillness of being and the spaciousness that allows you to embrace your experience with openness. And as you are aware, that awareness is like a light. Let yourself see what needs to be seen. At any time, you can use your breath to help you release any effort or tensions that may have come into your practice and to rest more deeply. And as you continue to open in the presence of that which may be challenging, a natural warmth becomes available, kindness, compassion. And let yourself receive it. As easily as breathing in, you can feel it, allow it. As easily as breathing out, you can feel this warmth extending to others or wherever it is needed. And then bring to your heart and mind this simple aspiration that dedicates the goodness of your own meditation. In liberating my own being, may I benefit others. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcy. It was beautiful. You all hear me okay? Yeah. So it looks like we are kind of running out of time. It's really like 1 hour is very, very short to have a depth conversation, I know. So at least I think all our Facebook Live friends and our Cyber Sangha, at least the intention here is to introduce all of you to this beautiful, wonderful research project. And so there is, our host is posting all the links. Those you wanted to know more depth information, and also it's not something, it's like an ongoing thing, so that to learn more and participate with it, you have always opportunity to do that and getting more information. And I wanted to thank all three of you for this wonderful project, and all my support and is with all of you, and so that this project will bring some lights and able to help people who are helping others to help more, so that people are more. I mean, in the end of the day, I feel like that every human being is wanting to help somebody, but sometimes not necessarily we're able to do it well as we wish to do it. So that I think either it's just as a family member or professionally, but we all need help to help others, and this research and this project will definitely, I trust this will bring that. So thank you very much, and more information, please visit to those links. I'm imagining it's there. And then the other thing is also there is an October 24th to 26th 2017 this year, Science and Spirituality conference organized by Lingmije International. So we are, as a Lingmije International, we're trying to organize these the science and spirituality conference every year. Some year we were not able to do it, but the intention is to organize every year, and also invite a lot of people who are doing research, and particularly new research and new findings, and also doing our own, like this compassion project, and also with the pain. And so we are, constantly trying to explore and expand these researches and different ways to help people. So I'm sure, as if you're interested, slowly you will find more of that. So I welcome you all, our Facebook Live Cyber Sangha. So basically Cyber Sangha, welcome all of you. So thank you very much for joining us, and thank you all of you.
Rinpoche, could I say one quick thing before you end?
Sure.
I just wanted to mention that on behalf of Marcy, myself, Michael, and all the participants, we have a lot of gratitude to an anonymous donor who funded this program. And we continue to have gratitude for people who visit the Three Doors website and support the programs that we're making available to other people.
Thank you. And Michael, you, Marcy, anybody wanted to say anything before we close?
No, I did want to say, I forgot to mention that we thought, we did 9 months. What would it be like if we taught this same program in 6 weeks? Because sometimes you want to see, does it still work when you have a shorter amount of time together, but still some interest? And we were amazed to see how powerful, and now we'll have to see what the research shows, but the anecdotal, or what people say, was how valuable it was to come together and focus for the 6-week period. So I would say there are lots of ways that these practices are beneficial, and we hope to continue to find more and more ways. So.
Wonderful. So thank you very much once again. And we'll be in touch. So thank you, everybody.